From Koenigstein Road in the east to Casitas Gap in the west, an orange curtain has descended across the Ojai Valley. This is Ojai Talk of the Town. Hey everyone, Brett Bradigan, editor of your Ojai magazines, the monthly and quarterly. Our guests, Heather Stobo and Lisa Casoni from Beato Chocolates, are returning. When we first spoke, they were putting up the very first post-pandemic show at Porch Gallery. And at that time, they were already contemplating a move into chocolatiering and have successfully completed that. So we have a lot to discuss about art in Ojai, making connections, what's going to happen in the future, how Ojai's artistic scene might look in a few years. In any event, anybody who loves this community is going to love this conversation. Hey Heather, hey Lisa.
Hello.
Morning, Brett.
We're just talking about our favorite Ojai little secrets. And Sunset Magazine let your secret out of the bag, is that correct?
Well, yeah. I think what I liked about it was it wasn't the same questions all the time that some writers just rehash the same things over and over again. So this was a little more interesting to us because they didn't just ask us about some of our favorite places, including restaurants, but what we liked about when we got there. Like, for example, if you go to Nocciola and sit at the bar, Kat is a great mixologist, but she also makes great NA cocktails because I'm sober, so I'm sobering. So that was, to me, the fact that she took the time to really look into how to make a great NA drink. And then Sanders, who's right below us, who were good.
Sanders and Sons Gelato Shop. Yeah.
And he got into the NA craze too, so he's going to, he has in his gelato shop lots of NA cocktails or drinks that I've done some research on, and I think he picked some great selections. So that's sort of a thing that I'm noticing a lot. I was somewhere yesterday with Heather in Carpinteria, and it's a restaurant we really like, and they made a great NA drink for lunch.
Yeah,
so
they're all over the place now.
Yeah.
There's a batch of botanical type non-spirits that are out there. I don't remember the brand names, but you can get a passable whiskey. The gins are really quite excellent. They're spot on. You really couldn't tell the difference except that you don't get drunk.
Yeah. Well, there's the woman from the Duchess is launching a new line.
She has the Namari. Yes.
The Namari.
It's a beautiful drink.
But we were also going to talk about roti, your favorite seat there.
Roti.
Pink moment watching.
Yeah, pink moment watching.
So that's such a sweet little spot, and it's been so many things over the years. But when you go there, I mean, a lot of people just sort of wander around, and there's not really any indoor seating. But outside, if you sit up against the wall, you actually can see the pink moment, and that's really beautiful to be able to watch that.
Sit on the wall facing west.
Yeah, exactly.
The Topa Bluffs are right in front of you. Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, so that was really fun to think about those things. And then we have these other folks that we know that they do these distillation classes out on the East End by the Thatcher School. And they what do you call those, essential oils? Yes. So you learn how to make them, and then you get a sample when you leave, along with so many other little things they give you.
It's Gara Skincare that does it, but it's especially special during Pixie Month because they do a pixie kind of distillation, and it's about the flowers, the blossoms.
Oh, really? Not
oh my God, it's amazing. I mean, it's like it smells so good out there in April anyway.
My God, is Ojai the best smelling place you've ever lived?
I'm from Baltimore, so definitely.
Right.
It's my favorite time of year here is when is the April, May, when all the pixies, and I love that it wafts into town. Like you don't even have to live on the East End; you can still smell it if you're walking around and paying attention. It's quite extraordinary.
And also on a warm day, the sage comes up off in the afternoon. Comes off the hills and wafts down, that wonderful earthy sage smell that just makes you feel like a Louis L'Amour novel or something.
Yeah, we just increased property values by $100,000 with this talk.
This conversation. All right, let's keep it going then.
And we're actually working on a Black Sage chocolate bar as a collaboration with Gara, so that's been fun.
And
that's counterintuitive for a chocolate flavor.
Yeah, I have to say, we were kind of struck by it too, but Paul, who is one of the co-founders of Gara, kept pushing it on us, and
Black Sage.
Yeah, so we tried it, and it was actually really interesting. And
Doesn't it have like a kind of eucalyptus oil?
A little minty, kind of.
More minty. Than
eucalyptus. But it's interesting, especially with the milk chocolate. It actually is one of those flavors where it's shockingly good.
Yeah, like peanut butter and chocolate back in the old days. Remember those commercials?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still love that combo. It's my favorite combination. Anything with peanut butter.
Or,
peanut butter and chocolate, yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's hard to miss. Well, the other thing, any other little favorite little tips? Because I was going to say, this book cart right down below us, I get such a charge out of that. I don't know if you've ever frequented that little library cart.
There was someone down there when we walked up, looking through the books.
Browsing through,
yeah.
The used bookstore at the library will cycle boxes of stuff through there, and I've got I don't know how many books I haven't read, 20 or 30 that I've gotten. I should, you're supposed to read them and then put them back, but...
Are you hoarding?
I feel like I'm starting to now. My intentions are much better than my action. Yeah. But that's a fun thing, because you never know what you're going to find down there. I've gotten some really amazing finds.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's why I love Bart's. Same thing. I've found things there over the years and gotten as gifts. And I just love what Bart's is doing these days, too. I mean, we've been to a couple book signings lately.
Oh, did you
really
go to
interesting.
The Poet Laureate signing?
No, we didn't.
California Poet
Oh, no.
We missed that one.
Out. Yeah.
I didn't go either, but I heard it was really amazing. He grew up in Fresno, so he's like very much of the earth, that kind of William Saroyan feel.
Nice.
And he's Cambodian, so he's got the whole cultural currents going on too. Interesting juxtaposition. Really fascinating. I'm sorry I missed it.
Yeah, they do some great programming.
Yeah, that's my buddy Jim's daughter, Emma, that's been doing a lot.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Very cool. Yeah, so back to, Porch Gallery. I mean, I don't know that we've ever done a proper exit interview. I just was like, here's the place where these regional Los Angeles artists are being shown in Ojai, and there's nothing like it before or since. And it's the shame. Has anybody spoke to you about getting some kind of, taking some of your contacts maybe and making something happen?
Well, yes and no. I mean, there's some, not directly. I think, for the arts, I think the Carolyn Glass O'Bailey Foundation is really taking passed the torch, I guess we'd say. They have, they're bringing in guest curators. They're really trying to up their game. So, and then we've talked about, I think if there, I'm not going to say the porch left a void, but, I think it's just, there was, we had consistent exhibitions. Mm-hmm. And I think, there's other people stepping up. I think OSA doing their free tours now has been really great. Really? The museums upping their game.
I think that's awesome, but I don't see the rather some challenging artists in the way that you were putting together in such interesting ways. I'd like to see more of that. I think Ojai is a place that can handle some more cosmopolitan exposure to some of these abstract and some of these like performance-based artists even.
Mm-hmm. Well, as I said, the Carolyn Glass O'Bailey Foundation, they have a Hugh Steers exhibition right now. That's really...
who?
Hugh Steers. He's an artist who basically documented his passing from AIDS.
Oh.
And so they're really intense paintings. And but they're really, they're really...
They put the pain in paintings?
Yes. They're human in humanity, I guess, also. And then their next show, they're bringing in a guest curator, Tiffany Lundrum, which I think will be very interesting, too. So they're really, starting to branch out.
I used to be on their mailing list. I haven't. I've got to get back on that.
Yes.
I'm really noticing what the museum is doing also. They've brought in some younger people. who I really admire. And
by younger, you mean like 55, right?
No, younger.
I've been on the museum board a couple of goes, and I love the museum. Yeah, it's really got lots of potential. And I think Wendy, the museum director, has done a great job of integrating it more into the community with those like Friday events, those kind of weekend around town events.
Yeah, which is great. I mean,
I think one of the things I'm watching very closely is a young woman named Jennifer is also involved in that museum. Jennifer Day.
Oh, of course, Joel and Jennifer. More friends of the pod.
Yeah,
around here. They were great.
Yeah, no, I'm really, I know what it takes to do what she's doing over there, and they both have other jobs, and so I think they've done a really nice job with integrating some interesting programming. I think they have a cool show coming up. The next show is people.
As we're speaking, the Ojai Mystique show just came down.
That's right. Yeah.
So I don't remember what's next. I'm sure I've seen it.
Yeah, I mean, Cassandra Jones is involved in this show too. It's very interesting. It's digital art, and they're the way that they found people, because Ojai can be very insular too with the artists. I mean, if you're an Osa artist, that's one thing, but there are other really good artists in this town that are not part of an organized group that they were able to find that are doing some interesting work that I don't think that the museum has shown before. Digital work, but that was really fun with Cassandra working with her in that show, JPEG Mountain. That was one of her really fun shows.
That was, you hosted that exhibit.
Yes, we did. We actually wallpapered one of the rooms.
And you had all those little motifs that were inspired by some of the wall paintings from Greece.
Yes.
Am I remembering that right?
Yes, they were...
like yoga poses. But.
Yeah, I forget what the wallpaper was, but it was one of those things where she proposed wallpapering one of the rooms.
Which I'm sure you're a little touchy about that.
I was a little nervous, but we kind of like... We did it, and which was amazing because the porch, it's just, it's an old building. Mm-hmm. So to make it level...
it might be the oldest standing building in Ojai, right? 1874.
I think it's the third oldest.
What's before that's still standing?
The
Methodist Church.
The Lavender Inn, I think. And I think there's a building up near Thatcher.
Okay, that makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, so it's the third. I know it's the third because it's always bugged me that we were third.
Yeah.
So.
Bronze now. That's okay.
Yeah, we got a podium, but it's, so that was, working with Cassandra on that was really fun. It was one of those kind of an artist proposing something and we just saying, let's just try it.
Yeah, see how it goes. How did it go?
It was great.
Yeah.
It's...
well, I remember it was awesome. I mean, it looked great, but I don't know what goes on behind the scenes as far as the, what gets sold and how much.
Oh, that was a very successful show. In fact, one of the main piece that everybody just oohed and awed over, she could have sold that multiple times. But
that was the Big Bear,
Yeah, it was the Big Bear. That was, she did limited edition, so that was something that could have... and many pieces sold in that show.
Yeah, my parents are still mad about that.
Oh, they wanted to buy that.
Missed it?
Yeah.
Well, why don't they just commission her?
Yeah, they could. But they're just being difficult.
No, your parents are in medicine, right? Wasn't your dad a cardiologist?
He was research scientist. He did rheumatology, immunology research.
In Texas? No, I don't.
He was in Texas, yes. He moved around a lot, but they spent 10 years in Texas. In Galveston.
It's amazing, like, what sticks in my brain, because I couldn't tell you what I had for breakfast this morning.
Well, I'm touched.
Well, I mean, it's a good background. It seems like you've come a long ways, both of you, from where you started. Now, you were living in, I want to say, Silver Lake?
Eagle Rock.
Eagle Rock, yeah, which is even a little bit cooler, right? Isn't that just a little bit more?
Oh, that totally has changed. When we were there was just so little out there, and now it's completely changed. But I think, when we moved to Ojai...
2008?
2009.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
All our friends thought we were nuts, and now they all want to move here.
Or
they have moved here. Yeah.
They confirmed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So.
But, going back to, putting different kinds of people together. I think Ojai, one of my favorite things about Ojai is you can get to people very quickly. Like I literally was standing behind Donald Glover at a Rainbow and started up a conversation with him.
My gym buddy, we work out in the morning.
So, I mean, that happened to me over and over again, whether there was new people in town. I mean, he's been here for a little while now, but just really interesting people that will take the time to stop and ask you what you're up to or what you're doing or what's coming up. And it just engenders that because it is an artistic community. I mean, it's many things, this town. But yeah, I think that's one of the things that we found so fascinating is that how quick people were open to ideas and chatting with you and coming up with just like interesting projects.
Juxtapositions you're talking about, it's like a super collider. It's like a particle accelerator. You just smash stuff together at high speeds and see what happens.
Well, I have to say we took our cue from Guy Webster with that one. He was such a great connector, and so when we started doing mornings coffee on the porch. It was
Dave Palmer.
Dave Palmer. Oh,
no, that's a big deal.
Yeah, those were actually.
People forget that he seems like such a local, but in his world, he's a big shot.
Oh my gosh! I remember one Sunday he was for people who don't know, we would serve coffee on Sunday mornings, and Dave Palmer would often come just play the piano for a couple hours. And I remember one Sunday he wasn't there, and because I guess he was touring with Heart. That was one of those moments where I was like, "Wow, we have something here." Yeah. Those were special moments. But yeah, that's when it all started. With it was such a diverse group that would just sit there for hours, like 3-4 hours, and just talk.
Mm-hmm. Like people come up to us now and say, "What do you miss the most about not having that?" And I said, "The people, the conversations, the people." Yeah. Because it was never just about, I'd say this many times, it was never just about the art on the wall or selling art. It was really about how art can bring people together and how if you engender that type of spirit, you can start, and I introduced so many people to other people that then they went and did something, whether it was,
I know that feeling. That's a really great feeling.
It's just such a great, I just love that part of it. And that happens even now. I mean, because I know these people, and if someone's looking for something, it could be a landscaper, it could be, a painter to come paint your house. I mean, there's so many people now that I've been able to connect with others, and that continues, and I think that always will. I'll always have that.
But you won't have
spirit.
The facility. I think just that design of that building with a big porch and all really fostered that.
And I think it's location too.
Yeah, it's we set I always say it was the porch was one of my great loves. Sorry, hon.
Sorry, hon.
It was not, it's just, there's something about the energy too, and people, because it's so old, occasionally people would ask if it's haunted, and I always say if it is, it's with the best spirits ever. There was never any negativity there. It just, I don't know, there's something about a wraparound front porch in the middle of a town that just.
There was the hanging on the staircase, though. Do you remember hearing about that?
No.
Oh, and then there was the.
You're making this up.
Am I? Maybe I'm mistaken locations. No, if I was going to tell that story, I would have told it when you first got it.
Yeah, so.
Now, how did you meet Guy? Because he was a man about town, a boulevardier.
When we moved here, we were working on our kitchen, so we had to kind of go out every morning for coffee. And Guy was the type of person.
Coffee roasting company.
Yeah, and if he was the type of person, if he saw you in one place more than twice, he had to be your friend. He just couldn't stand that someone was in town that he didn't know.
Yeah.
And so he called us over to his table, and we just started. You started doing it more often than I did, but we would go down every morning and have coffee with just this random group of people. And then when we had the building, then someone came up with the idea that we should buy everyone coffee and serve it to them. And so that's when Sundays on the Porch came, because of Guy.
Yeah, he's still working some magic, because when we sold the building, what we bought, Guy had a big impact on that with our friend who we bought what we live in now. So he keeps coming back into the picture. And he told us early on too, he said, get connected in the town, like give to the town. And that just stayed with me the entire time when we had the opportunities that were presented to us. And I always talk about this to the young people that have worked for us. I said, hard work is one thing, but also timing and getting involved and finding ways to not just think about what you're doing, but engage other people and other organizations in this town, of which there are many. So I decided to get into that in multiple ways. And that, whether it was the schools and doing student shows, or there's just so many examples of fundraisers that we did, endless amounts of fundraisers. There's many things we did there that the community didn't even know. We were just privately helping somebody out, or helping an organization out, or starting something, or germinating something in there. So it was really quite creative.
What was that E.M. Forster book with the two ladies in London? At the end of the book, it was Connect.
Connect. Was it Howard's End?
I don't think it was Howard's End. It wasn't Remains of the Day.
No.
But in any event, that I wish I could remember the name of the book, but that is one of the best endings of any book ever.
't you can go steal it from the library cart downstairs.
If I'm lucky. Good callback, Heather. I love a good callback. So, Beato Chocolates, that's a big transition. Tell me how that even got going. That's another one of those odd juxtapositions I would have never have gone from. Although you can go through the cultural DNA of Ojai with Beatrice Wood.
Yeah.
But why chocolate?
It was actually started during the Thomas Fire. We were up in Solvang, and during
where you were holed up?
Yeah, so we and the hotel where we were staying served hot chocolate in the afternoon. And Lisa was drinking hot chocolate and started coming up with this idea like, we should make and sell chocolate. She was with another friend of ours, Emily Burson, and they were talking about that, and they wanted to do it in the gallery. And I said, absolutely not. I was like, we're an art gallery. We're not doing chocolate. We're not going into chocolate production. And then Lisa kind of came up with this roundabout idea of like, well, what if we name it after Beatrice Wood and work with the Beatrice Wood Center, because her famous quote that she owed her longevity to chocolate, art books, and young men. So Lisa found the loophole, and so we decided that it was art and chocolate, and it was something we were just going to do for fun, like on the side, and it became way too much fun for us. Like, it's just, working with her archives has just been such a treat.
I'll bet, yeah. So Kevin Wallace at the Beatrice Wood Center has all the everything, right?
Everything, and
the comprehensive collection.
Yes, and we worked out an agreement with them where they've given us all the licensing rights.
Yeah.
To make for the chocolates, and so it just it seems kind of like out there, but it is based in honoring one of the most famous artists from Ojai.
Yeah, you've been at it for 6, 7, 8 years now, right?
We started in 2018. So,
yes.
I can't.
And just to clarify,
6 years.
I wanted to just clarify something. They didn't just give us the licensing rights; we pay for those rights.
Yes,
it's very important that you have to negotiate that, and you have to be, really honoring all of what she's about and what that institution is about. So. I consider it a win-win, because not only do they get licensing fees from us, but we are keeping her legacy going in many ways. And as we expand,
mutually beneficial.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, and it's it's also just fun to kind of bring her energy back. They do a great job up there, and so, but it's there's it's with a fixed location. There's something you can do with a product. You can get it really, really out there more so than you can with just a brick and mortar.
Yeah.
Oh, we've shipped to all over the world. We've shipped our chocolate.
Yeah.
Our chocolate has been in, remember when Emily was in South Korea?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but yeah, we have a couple wholesale accounts in Sweden?
Sweden.
Yeah.
Oh, really? So you're shipping product there regularly?
Yeah. So it's
Did they move it? Is it like, would anybody there even understand Beatrice Wood?
I think they react to, even if you don't understand Beatrice,
the whimsicalness of of the molds and the design,
and the packaging for the chocolate bars. It's it's all based on her artwork and her kind of cheekiness, and so I think that's what people respond to if they're not responding to the artist, specifically.
Yeah. I love her story because she never made any money until she was like well into her 80s.
Yeah.
So I still have hope
Yeah, she kept at it, and that's what we've been, there's so much talk about like centenarians now, and people and like aging gracefully and
blue zones.
Yeah, and she was the original blue zone, like, she was the one of the shows we did with her were a set of drawings or hand-colored etchings from the Bed Stories portfolio, and she created that portfolio when she was 94.
Yes. Right up to the very end.
Yeah, so and which is and they're great pieces. It's
I do think that creativity and longevity they run parallel.
Oh, I agree, and I think
the only famous person to come from my hometown was George Abbott. George Abbott Way was a big Broadway impresario. He started as an actor. He started building sets, and then he was an actor and playwright. And he was 107 years old when he died. And he finished the redraft of a Pajama Game was his play. He wrote that play back in the 40s or something. Did a rewrite for a revival, and then just like that, he just let go.
That's the way to go. I have to say, it's if you find something you love, you can just keep doing it.
Yeah.
So we started very small in the building and just with a few products, and then as COVID came along. And not having people being able to come in to visit us and to see the art in person, we, and behind very slowly, methodically started back making more chocolates and more bars and more just going into the archives and coming up with really interesting ingredients that relate to the artwork because the artwork drives everything. So Heather's been writing a story right now that's on our website called Beato Beat, which is the actual how we started this company. And there's so many twists and turns with it. And every week, a new segment comes out. And, a lot of this is actually how two people come at something that are very different thinking and thinkers. And
are you talking about yourself?
Yes, very different. And how we managed through some really tough times, and also how to grow a business in destruction and in chaos. And so it is to us it's a story that's not just about chocolate and Beatrice Wood. It's about how to grow a business when you face serious adversity, and how to keep going and how to keep staying creative. I think I said that to a lot of artists when they would come in the gallery when we first shut down with the fire. And I said, just go see each other. Stay in touch with each other. Don't just connect.
Exactly.
It's you can go down the rabbit hole so easily of depression, and it's we're all going through this together. So that's one of the good things.
We're all alone together.
Yeah, yeah.
It really is. I wonder what the cultural memory of it's amazing how quickly we forget. But I wonder what will be the collective cultural memory of the pandemic of COVID. What's that going to look like? I feel bad for these kids.
I was about to say, I think
that's where it's going to be felt the most.
I agree. I think, for us, it was, obviously there was like, the business part of it, and then there was like, the social part of it. But I think the kids, I think that it's imagine losing 2 years of your high school.
Especially maybe if you're a more introverted or withdrawn kid to begin with.
Oh, yeah. And it's like, I can't imagine. I think we're going to be feeling the effects for a long time.
I read something the other day because I listen to a lot of things now, but the best cure for loneliness is to go help somebody else, to go volunteer, to go sit with an older person. Service, and you can find it in so many different ways in this town. Especially, there's so many organizations that would love to have your volunteer time, and you can give as little or as much as you want. But I was thinking of something I've been involved with since the beginning was the Women's Fund, and there's so many things I didn't know about outside the art world that I became aware of that we started giving money to, the grants. And so, there's just so much. There's so many areas that you can get involved in, and even if you like horses or you like animals, and it's not a person, you can volunteer. There's lots of help that's needed here. So, just getting out of your own way often is incredibly helpful, and I found that to be so true. Like in your worst times, just get out and try to do something for somebody else. It's very powerful.
Don't sit around and brood.
Don't sit around.
I'm a brooder. I really just get into these ruminations that you can barely pull myself out of. It's tough, man. Like, sometimes I just want to take a bunch of drugs and shut it down. Self-healing.
This is taking a dark turn.
But one fun thing I do, just little things, like with the Ojai Film Society, which basically ended in 2014 when the theater got flooded. Mm-hmm. We do those Sunday screenings. I know that you guys have been to those. Those were always great fun. It was like the perfect amount of social interaction because you'd be given tickets or whatever. Got to do a little math, keep your brain straight. Somebody gives you a $50 bill. No, there's 3 seniors and 2 kids. Blah, blah, blah. But it was just great to just kind of touch base with everyone on a weekly basis like that. But we did, the youth film competition. Mm-hmm. And part of it was we got a grant from the Rotary. It was only $750. And then the way that we leveraged that was incredible because, we're paying somebody who's an expert with Avid or what's the other one, Pro Tools, for making films to work with these kids, exponentially more professional and better, and the cuts and the fades and everything was just amazing. Like 40 films this kid helped with. Not a kid, he was a young man. Unbelievable. And there was still like $200 left over.
Oh, wow.
So we had like $50 for honorariums to have like Peter Bellwood go in there and tell some tall tales, and J.B. White about the actual mechanics of getting a script, produced. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, $750? We did all that? That was like, blew me away.
I think it's amazing. I think that's one of the things that people get caught up on, that it's like, oh, we need the funds. And it's like, yeah, you do, but you can
do it, and then the funds will find you. I like to think that. But
I think it's true. I mean, I think, especially in regards to the arts, I think you'll be surprised what you can do without a lot of money. I know they always have those talks about, the cautionary tales about the filmmakers when they do some, like Robert Rodriguez, $6,000 in El Mariachi. Yeah. And then all of a sudden they start throwing lots of money at him, and you get Spy Kids 2. Yeah. Not that that's a bad film, but it's a long ways from El Mariachi. Yeah. Or Darren Aronofsky got $100 and some million to make Noah, or whatever. I think it was called Noah. It was a really good movie, but it wasn't Pi. Yeah. It wasn't The Wrestler. Mm-hmm. It wasn't, what was my favorite one? Black Swan. Yes. I love that movie. I think that's one of the more perfect movies ever made. $6 million. Yeah. And that was all, Natalie Portman took a year to study ballet, and Mila Kunis as well. And, he was fighting. There was a great interview, and I've talked about this before, but he was on Elvis Mitchell, The Treatment. Mm-hmm. I love that show whenever I can catch it. But I thought he was going to talk about his creative vision and how he puts stuff together and the ideas and the inspiration. He talked about money the whole time. And he'd made The Wrestler for $2 million. It grossed almost $60. He thought, well, I'm going to get all kinds of money. People are going to be throwing money at me. He had the incredible hoops he had to jump through for Black Swan, which you're wondering, well, doesn't that stress him out? That was a beautifully made movie. But he ran out of money. Box Searchlight cut off his funding, or they just said, this isn't working for us. He's halfway through production. He's got 2 weeks before he's going to have to shut everything down. He's borrowing everything he could possibly do. And he found a group of in Texas, he found a poker group that were interested in chipping some money in just to say that, I'll help produce this movie. But they made him jump the humiliating hoops. And it was like, if you look at the end credits of Black Swan, it goes on for like 14 miles of, Bozo, my Staffordshire Terrier. And it's like, you put my mistress's name, but here's a way that my wife won't be able to tell. And they were just like, for the $2 million to finish making that movie, he had to abase himself. Yeah. That's Darren Aronofsky. He's one of the best filmmakers we ever had. So it's a kind of a racket. I mean, I guess it always has been. I mean, it's been a patronage enterprise.
So, I don't know. What was I talking about?
Oh, I just wanted to mention, because I've met this man multiple times when he first got to town, David Berger, because there are a whole group of kids here that didn't have the movie theater to go to. Yeah. So I know that's taken a while to get up and going, but it's going to be amazing. I mean, what he's doing in there.
Yeah, he's got the right attitude.
He does. Yeah. He does.
Oh, yeah, we're big
fans. And I'm so excited. We're big fans. And just some of the things he's done.
Doing the coffee.
Yeah, just having a coffee.
Yeah, he would have Pinhole Coffee come on Saturdays. I think since the fire, he stopped it, but the fire at Rory's. But he was like having Pinhole Coffee just, do a
little pop-up.
Yeah, little pop-ups. And it's, and of course that was so close to our hearts because like that's kind of how I feel we started the porch. And to have someone else kind of realizing how nice it is for the community to have a space where people can have coffee and talk. And, I
guess that would be like a good porch gallery evolution or taken over.
Yeah, we would
filling that niche.
Yeah, I think he has, as we said, the right attitude. The music festival's done some pop-ups there. They did one that was like
a couple concerts there, the little performances they did. I think you were there too.
Yeah, did you go to the one where it was like they just did cafe lights and it was still under construction? Like I don't even think there was
there's no drywall or anything. It was just the
raw space.
Yeah, I thought that was a really special night.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. Well, David, if you're listening, and I know you do, so when I mentioned that you remind me of Wayne Coyne, I hope you understand that's a compliment because the Flaming Lips are an awesome band. So I know you're a little sensitive about that, but it's all intended with the best. Nothing but the best. Yeah. So... chocolate, I mean, it seems so far away. I'm still not quite getting it. I mean, what is the process? How do you manufacture them? Do you start with beans?
We don't. We are not a bean to bar. So we use a cloverture, and we flavor it and temper it.
You use a what?
Cloverture. It's an untempered kind of chips of chocolate.
Okay, but it's already been fermented and whatnot.
Yeah, it's been made. So then we temper it, which is the tempering process is actually very scientific. And we have a chocolatier, Fran Gieler, who does everything for us, and is in our kitchen.
I've never met Fran, but I've heard a lot about her. She does a lot of food photography and stuff too, right?
She does, and she's also an amazing baker.
Yeah, she does. She actually has what she calls hand pies that she sells when Pinhole does their pop-ups.
Oh yeah, I got to check that out.
Oh, they're good. But yeah, so she. It's amazing watching her. So she'll flavor the chocolate, put it in the molds, and what we do, we like to sprinkle like the ingredients on the back. Like for example, Bed Stories is it's dark chocolate with dried raspberries, and so she puts the raspberries on the back. And I've watched her. It's like, it's so meticulous. She's using tweezers sometimes to move the ingredients around. It's it's. Chocolate's just, I have to say, it's just fun. When we were selling the gallery, my mom said, Heather, do you want to spend your days making chocolate? And I was like, yes. I do.
Yeah.
Well, we go in sometimes to pitch in when it gets really busy. And we're getting ready to, jump to a next major level with a major hotel. And so the production's going to really kick in on a massive level, and that's. We've been wanting this. We've been, seeking this for a while, and you just have to get yourself in the position to do that. We do have a commercial space down on Bryant Street, and we're close to and next to a lot of other really great locals that have built up their businesses.
I know, it's quite a little scene.
It's a scene down there, yeah.
Yeah, you want to talk about one of the hidden gems. It's just the creativity that's happening down on Bryant Street. It's just really amazing. It's
Sanders, my neighbor here.
Yeah, we were sharing a kitchen with him for a little.
Zena.
Yeah, it's like this entrepreneurial...
That mushroom guy.
Rebel.
Yeah.
Rebel's down there.
Yeah, all this creativity that's happening down there. It's really great. But one thing with the chocolates, which is really fun for us, it's this different level of creativity. Like we'll find, sometimes we'll be looking at one of Beatrice Wood's, a piece of artwork, and we'll kind of give this challenge to ourselves. Like, all right, if we were going to turn this into a chocolate bar, what would it be? Mm-hmm. And like the Pussy Between Us, we came up with milk chocolate because of cats.
Oh.
So,
and we didn't have a milk chocolate.
Yeah,
bar,
so it's like sometimes it's the leap, but it's like sometimes it's just really fun to kind of play that game.
Well, that seems to be the theme with you guys, is making unexpected connections.
Oh, well, thank you. I think it was a compliment.
Yeah. Well, most of them. 85% compliment.
All right. I'll take it.
Yeah. No, really, that's the whole heart of artistry, isn't it? To make connections.
Yeah. And it makes it fun. It's playful.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of who she was, too. She was a very playful person. So to develop this product around that personality has been really exciting for us.
Nice.
Well, we relate to it, too. We relate to a lot of how she lived her life and her eccentricity. I mean, we sort of
Did you ever
are like
meet
that.
Because I got here just after she died.
Yeah, same. We
missed
just
her by
missed
6 months or so.
Oh, that's all? Oh.
Yeah, we missed her.
1999. I got here in 2000.
Yeah.
Our chocolatier actually got to meet her just a few months before she died.
This is a great story. She was our chocolatier was living in New York, and was a photographer, and Travel and Leisure hired her, flew her from New York to Ojai to photograph Beatrice Wood.
Oh, wow.
And so she had these great photos, and then Fran ended up liking Ojai so much, she ended up moving here because of that. Nice. And then we just kind of connected with her and asked her to be our chocolatier, and that's when the story came out that the reason she's in Ojai is because of Beatrice, and now she's making chocolate based around Beatrice.
Circle.
Yeah,
that's great. That's the kind of stuff that happens in Ojai.
Oh yeah,
frequently.
Oh, 100%.
It seems pure serendipity, but I think you set things in motion, and then they come together.
I agree. It's just the energy here.
Here's another example. So we often work with corporate groups from all over the world coming into the Ojai Valley Inn, and they'll call us up and want our chocolate as a welcome gift or a part of flowers and chocolate and honey, things that are.
Do you do any manufacturing over there, like on site?
No, we have our own facility on.
Is there any way you can do like a little craft shop type of situation for the people at the end during their conferences or convention? I'm asking because they used to do that when Janice was the general manager many years ago, where they would bring in the chef with their cookbook, like the lady that brought in the big chocolate pot and broke it down and told us how everything comes together, and you get some of the chocolate afterwards, not from that bean, but the whole, she gave us it was like really quite impressive. I just love that sort of thing.
So here's what we did that was an evolution based on working with a number of groups over the years there that are coming in. We pitched this idea of an art history lesson through chocolate. So it became, through our creative ways to approach this, a half-hour talk. So we take you from the beginning of the movement, which she was a part of, the Dada movement, and give you a little history of that movement through chocolate. And the entire half hour, you're tasting different chocolates, and we're taking you through the timetable of the Dada movement, and then Beato moving to Ojai, and how it all intersects and connects. And so as they're tasting it throughout this talk, we loved it because they're engaging us, they're asking us questions. We bring in not just the art history part, but how we work with the farmers and how some of these ingredients are sourced locally and how we came up with the idea of the artwork or what the artwork means to us. And so we take you from the beginning of the movement, which is early 1900s, and then her connection through that early stages of the Dada movement, and then we move you into her Ojai time period. So people just really related to that as opposed to, okay, let's just show you how we make chocolate or how we do the chocolate. So that's our creativity around this, is to how do we tie this all together into a story, into a talk. Story is the connective tissue. And so from that, we've gotten many requests for that talk. And so we're not just going over there or dropping off chocolate anymore. We're going over there and presenting this whole idea of what and the Dada movement's so interesting because it inspired other movements. It's a very creative movement. It's eccentric. It's a lot of things that she embodied.
It's contrary to everything else going on in that era.
Yes.
There's a great book about Marcel Duchamp, and it was about Marcel Duchamp and then the gentleman whose name I'm forgetting, and Beatrice Wood.
Rocher.
The three of them.
Yeah.
Rocher. Yeah.
Did you see the book came out like 2 years ago?
What was it? Marcel, what was it?
We had that
Marcel
book.
and Me, or
yes.
I don't remember the name.
It's
but it was really fascinating because Beatrice Wood was it wasn't just that she was part of the script, she was the inspiration for all of the absurdity that went into Dada.
Oh, 100%.
It was her.
That's what, when you talk about that, I think her later life was a different level of creativity, but I think her just existence, her socialization, like the way she would move through the world and the people she interacted with, that was her own piece of artwork.
That was one of the takeaways from the book, was that her life was her greatest work of art.
Yeah, that's what Kevin Wallace often says. It was, she's, as I said, a fascinating woman.
Yeah, really, and I think
her connection to, she not just was an artist and really came into her own later in life, which is very inspiring to me as someone in my 60s now. But she surrounded herself with really interesting people. She had this other side that was a very spiritual side too, the whole Christian Murdy connection.
That's why she came here.
Yeah, but there's a great quote that we have on our website that Aeneas Nin talked about her vessels. It's a beautiful quote. So
from Aeneas Nin about Beatrice Wood?
Yes, they were good friends.
I love her. I love Aeneas Nin.
Yeah, it's, again, it's one of those things where she was just reading about her life. It's so inspirational. So it's kind of like having this North Star that's guiding us and doing it playfully with chocolate. It's been so much fun.
Yeah. So that's the other really great thing is having had these experiences, whether it's small groups. We've done things at Fire Stick Pottery, and then we've done things at the Inn, and we've done since post gallery. So we're able to keep it going in sometimes small ways and sometimes bigger ways at big events at the Inn down by the farmhouse. We've done some major things there, but we also post. I thought this was really fun. Heather hated me for asking for this, but post gallery, I said we should get a golf cart so we can do local deliveries and not just deliver it in a car. That's kind of boring. Why don't we get a golf cart? And golf carts are I've seen a bunch of them in Ojai. So now we have it customized for Beato, and when I show up with them and deliver them, people are so happy. It's like getting a bundle of flowers. It just makes people happy to see us pull up.
Ice cream truck.
Yeah,
exactly. It's like and I grew up with the ice cream truck in my neighborhood. So I just remember he would have this little beep and come into the neighborhood, and it just takes me back.
That's where we bought our pot from the ice cream.
You did?
Yeah, that was our theory. Yeah, when we lived in LA, it was like the ice cream truck would pull up, and I was like, "There's not kids running out there."
There's a lot of adults with hungry looks on their face.
Yeah, I think when I saw you by Revel, which is right below you, I was in a cart one of those times.
That's right.
Yeah.
Very adorable.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really fun.
But you have to have fun with it. It is a very joyful type of a business that you can integrate a lot of fun elements to it. And so, that's taken a page from Beato. She had a lot of fun. She took her work seriously. She was very diligent, and I think she was very well into her hundreds was working.
Yeah, she's very good. Yeah, she's very serious about her work, but she's still we'd be complete jerks if we're have a chocolate company and we can't have fun with it.
That's but did you see Willy Wonka? The new one with Timothy Chalamet.
Well, we're doing a staff retreat.
Yeah.
What do you call it?
and go see the movie and then go to eat. Yeah.
That's a fun movie. I really wasn't expecting to like it. I only saw it. My son was visiting. We wanted to go see Napoleon, and we missed it, so we went to see Willy Wonka and had a great time.
Yeah.
It's one of those films that's impossible to hate.
Yeah,
I know that because I really tried.
One of the things I wanted to mention too is we talk a lot about the art and what's in the chocolate, but so many people say this at the end when they're talking to us. They say, "But is the chocolate good?" And it actually really is. It's all. Yeah. It's very. We tasted so much chocolate before we created our own line, and it was very important for us. I didn't want it to be just a gimmick, but the chocolate was terrible. No, the chocolate's sourced very ethically. It's fair trade. It's we put a lot into what goes into it.
Fran's perfectionists, so nothing gets out of the kitchen that isn't perfect.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're working on some new products right now that everything's organic. and all the
chocolate products.
It's a wellness line, so it's more activated ingredients, but still very good.
Yeah,
because that's important.
Yeah, and that just came because we're listening to what people are asking for. There are many things out there that that you can go down different roads with, but when enough people start saying, "Hey, can you do this?" or "I would like to see this," enough people ask, then we experiment with it. We put it out there, let people taste it, see what kind of feedback we're getting, and then if it sticks enough for enough of us, then we'll move on to another product or add another bar to the line. But yeah, we're excited about this new group that's going to be coming out this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, do you have an outside salesperson that picks up orders, like a jobber they used to call?
No, I'm actually that person. But this is one thing I wanted to mention. This is such an interesting update. So Sanders, actually, from Sanders and Son, came up with this idea of an Ojai Provisions, where he would take a number of us Ojai small businesses that aren't competing against one another to locations like Los Angeles and the Central Coast.
Yeah. Instead of us, song and dance.
Yeah,
and instead of us individually doing this, we would do it as a collective. And I thought that was
distribution. Yeah,
for distribution.
So we could have a whole Ojai shelf.
Yeah, actually, I think Xena is going to be part of it. Sanders and Sons,
Rebel.
Yeah.
There's a number. There's a mushroom company.
Yeah. So it's so it's actually, again, it's this community working together to kind of figure out a creative way to solve this problem.
Yeah.
We're also on
as a brand.
It is.
Yeah, it sure is.
Well, yeah, we're aware of it.
It has been for a while.
Yeah.
One of the outlets that we're on, too, besides having a website that we ship all the time based on off of our website, but we're on these business-to-business platforms that are very many across the country, small lifestyle stores and gift shops are on, and so they find us on this platform, and we ship all over the country because of being on that platform. So we find all of these different outlets that just don't rely on, tourists coming into town. But like you mentioned to me earlier, there's so many people coming to Ojai now, and post gallery, we have our chocolate in 6 or 7 locations. So it's easy to find us. And then I still get phone calls and people asking, where are you guys now? And so I'm able to tell them, you can pick it up here. Yeah. Very easy around Ojai.
Yeah. And we deliver in town. Yeah.
And then we do deliveries, so we don't, it hasn't really been that much of an issue or a problem for us not having the store.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what do you miss about being gallerist? There's got to be some parts of it that just feel like a void.
Oh, I think the feeling when you first install a show. It's like
just the hushed expectancy.
Yeah, and it's there's such a buildup. At one point, we were like, we were planning shows a year out, so we would do a studio visit, and then there's like this anticipation doing the press release, and then the art's delivered, and it's wrapped, and it does, and even when you take it out of the wrapping, it's like there's that feeling, but then when it's installed and you start moving physically through the space. Just that first time of doing that, it's just, it's magic.
Every show has its own energy.
Yeah, and it's like, and that's what's so fun. It was like, it changed all the time, and it's just, but there's just something about having a body of work in a space, and the porch was such a beautiful space. Mm-hmm. It was just, that was the magic for me.
Yeah, the location was so key.
For me, it was about putting people together that you wouldn't necessarily see that would go well together, and experimenting with that. And sometimes it worked so beautifully. Sometimes it wasn't as successful. But I never measured it from a financial aspect first. I measured it what it felt like when I was engaging with people in the building, and those conversations then would lead to other things and other ideas down the road. So there's a lot of ways to measure when you're in the art world every day, to measure what you feel is a successful experience. And so post-show, still being able to have conversations around art and what artists are doing, and where they're showing and what they're working on, and what they're with their, what a body of work that might be new that they're considering. And those conversations, just, you can have those every day with different kinds of input, and And it's like, that's the thing that's so beautiful about art, is like it's a lifelong journey. It's like a writer, like they're always working on some idea or trying to figure out some problem, and that's what's so interesting about it to me, is that it's this consistent way to think about your daily life. That's not just the dregs of the things we have to do. It's the routines that's kind of the mundane stuff we all have to do.
There's art in that too.
There can be.
Yeah.
The more specific something is, the more it applies to everyone. Yeah. That I've really found enlightening. Oh, I don't know if I told you, but I was just walking around my office or something, and this Korean girl didn't speak hardly any English. She was taking paintings out of the back seat of her car, and I was helping her. And she was, I finally figured out she was heading over to Porch Gallery to see if she could get a show.
Oh.
And I was like, oh my God, you come all the way up from L.A. This, she's only here for like a few months or something, and she heads up to Ojai to go to, I don't think you actually exhibited any of her work, but she did these kind of, what was that guy from Sports Illustrated that did those sort of impressionistic paintings? Newman, or, God, I'm terrible. He's famous, Roy Newman or something like that, but it looked like those. It was very dynamic, kind of horse series. Do you remember?
I don't remember. And
I'm sure that happens quite often. People just randomly show up with their, I'd love to get a show here.
Yeah, it's always hard when that happens, usually.
You got to disappoint people.
Well, yeah, and we try and we discourage people from just walking in with artwork.
Well, one of the things that I know, and I was always I was always the soft glove around this, and Heather comes from the art world and knows, the way how to not just come upon a gallery and ask to see the the owners, because ultimately what you're trying to do is, when you are in your current show, you're very hyper focused on that, and we used to plan so far in advance. So when someone walks in, we know nothing about their work. They haven't sent us any information. They don't even know if what we show aligns with what they're doing. So there is a protocol to it. If
Same
you really,
with like submitting articles to a magazine.
Yeah,
exactly.
You want them to know who they're doing and what the audience is, and what is a typical type of coverage and stuff. Mm-hmm. I just thought that was cool that you guys were on that circuit of LA galleries, that people would feel it worthwhile to drive an hour and a half out of the city to come up here, and
that is
cool.
It is cool. It's very flattering. It's but we I
think we stretched in some of these shows. We stretched a lot, because Heather always would say, "These guys are never going to show with us." Remember Fallen Fruit?
Yeah.
These guys were just darlings in what they were at the time, and Heather was like, "There's no way they're going to show up in Ojai." And I called one of the guys up, sat on the phone with him for quite a while, and we ended up doing this amazing show with them.
Yeah, because first of all, I was like, how are you going to get in touch with them? And Lisa's like, I'm just going to call him. And so she called him and sat on the phone with him for over an hour, and he actually later said that's the reason he exhibited with us. He said, if you're willing to take the time to talk to me for an hour and be interested in my work and my life for an hour, you deserve something back. And that was the first show we did.
Wow, the very first show.
Yeah. 2012
or something,
or 13, I believe. Maybe it was 2012, because we weren't even the Porch Gallery at that time. That was an art fair we did. Remember?
That's right.
Was there any white whales that you didn't quite get? Any your Moby Dicks? Did you have any?
I'm trying to think. I'm biting my tongue to not make a dick joke. But
I set you up. Now knock it down.
Exactly. We worked with a lot of dicks. No, it's. I'm trying to think. Did we?
Well, I think of it as in a different. I'm thinking about this in a different context. You kind of have to know in the art world. There's a lot of non-transparency in it, and that's why people complain about it. But you can come at it in so many ways. You can say, I want to be a small gallery in a small town. You can say, I want to be the regional gallery. You can say, I want to be a gallery where I go to all the art fairs and I spent a ton of money going to become an A-list gallery, and what that means and what that entails. And any one of those levels you can be in. And so you just have to kind of find your lane. So when you ask, like, is there any A-listers? I mean, I think there's A-list artists in this town that we've worked with. Definitely. Gary Lang, Ruth Pastine, Russell Crotty, all these folks. Just, fantastic artists. We've had an opportunity to sell their work, show their work. But Gary's a perfect example. We never showed his work, but we placed his work. And so those relationships that we built up were very important to us. And they introduced us to LA people. And then that's how you get into it, is that you start, really getting yourself down there and start going to things and start, talking to art writers. I mean, that was a huge thing for us when Shana started coming up. Mm-hmm. She's a huge art writer in the LA art scene. And
do the critics still have the same influence they used to? It seems like everything's changed.
I think it's changed. They don't have
the gatekeepers the way that used to.
I think so too. I mean,
and the best art critics are cheerleaders, aren't they? They find somebody they really champion.
Yes, they do. And I think obviously it's always nice to be written up, but I think, I think just like, just the way media is now, I don't think there's that balance of power.
No, it's really...
But the thing I love about art writers, though, I mean, just any good writer, is they put things in context. Mm-hmm. You really learn something with a good art writer, and I think Shana Nees Dambro is one of those people. She's been in it for a very long time. She's written for many publications. She is she's the editor of the LA Weekly, but lots of publications that she's been to. And she's out there. She's seeing the shows. She's connecting with the artists. She goes to all the regional events. She works incredibly hard to put it in context for all of us. And yeah,
she became a very good friend.
She became a very good champion of what we were doing, and gave us some great. She's the one that said, "Why aren't you guys open on Sundays? You're right next to this great farmers market. Lots of people walking down, and she sat out there one morning on a Sunday. It's like, this was early on too. So, and then when what's fun is when you become friends, and then they come up, her and her boyfriend come up and stay with us now, and we go out to eat and. So the dialogue continues, so that's what's fun.
You ever see yourself getting back in the game?
I'm not going to say never, but for the time being, we're kind of happy where we are.
Well, I think what Heather and I really learned is the more you focus on something, the more effort you give to it, which is what we're doing with the chocolate right now. The gallery, we had things thrown at us that we had to pivot. We had to deal with a major fire where no one was coming into town and figure out how to stay creative in that and make money. We are a for-profit business over there. So when then the chocolate came along, that was another way that was a side hustle becomes now the main focus. But you end up, when you get scattered with your gallery, and then we had a shop in there, and then we had chocolate. It becomes a lot. It's a lot to take on, and even with help, it
burns up bandwidth when you got to shift from one. Yes. When you got to put on a different hat and do this other stuff. I know that.
Yeah, and one of the things too was living and working in the same building.
Yeah, and that sounds like idyllic to me. But
you think so? I think there was a loss of privacy.
Yeah, boundaries.
And. At first, it didn't matter, but 5 years later, I think that's what part of the reason.
It takes its toll.
Yeah. So.
But we have we are very blessed in every way.
Oh God.
We could not.
I think
we could not say enough about our experience there and how it continues.
Oh yeah, I'm so incredibly proud of what we did at the Porch.
Well, we had the gallery for 10 years. We just owned it for 5, and that was the other thing. Our experience there. And this is why we engendered so many people coming in all times of the day and night, is we were working on the building too. We were, adding things to it that were really interesting, like a secret bookcase and redoing kitchens and redoing bathrooms and, just keeping that building.
Painting
painting the whole outside, which took months and months and months. So people really, they saw that we were passionate about the building too. It wasn't just the businesses in there, but the building itself. It needed a lot TLC. So that was really fun, and taking people on that journey was really fun.
Fun for you. I can't stand repairs and home and painting and doing that stuff.
It has its moments, yeah. So.
Yeah.
But.
So, what's the future of art in Ojai? You're probably better positioned to speak to that than anyone else I know. I
wish I had the answer. It's I see people, as we said. I think David Berger with the theater. I think that's going to be
a cultural hub.
I really do think so. I think it's
new hotel going up. It's going to bring in a different crowd, maybe more affluent even.
Yeah, it's but Ojai will always be the Ojai. As we said, the foundation's doing stuff. The museum's changing. It's
OSA.
Yeah, I think there's I think Ojai. There's still a lot of surprises here, and
I just wish we had more galleries. We're down to 0.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, you have to.
But that can change too. I mean, I think, as I said, Ojai. It's one thing we love about it. It surprises you.
And I think it's a town because it has a rich art history. There will be somebody that steps up. It's harder now.
Listening right now. Get to it. Do it. People will get behind you that you don't even know.
Oh yeah. Oh well, that was another thing that we loved. Another special part of the gallery, and artists commented on this all the time at the openings. How engaged the community was. Like, people loved talking to the artists that came in, and they said, this is so different. It's like when I have, a lot of them say, like, when they have, shows in, say, LA or different cities, that people show up at the openings and they don't really engage with the artists. Mm-hmm. Like, people would come in and just were like so just hungry to hear about the artists and talk to the artists. Yeah. That was another great thing. So yeah, who's ever out there and wants to start a gallery, people here.
Yeah, come see Heather and Lisa. They'll try to warn you off.
The other place I do want to mention, because we didn't get a chance to talk about this, because I think they're doing amazing residencies, is Taft Gardens.
Oh yeah.
So it's a little on the outskirts of Ojai, but what they're doing up there.
Cassandra still is coordinating.
I think so. I think she is.
And Jade Whitman.
Yeah.
And Jade Whitman. Yeah, I think they're doing some great stuff up there.
We have a story coming up, not this issue, but the next, about their, John Taft's 90th, but it's a retrospective, which shows still to this day they're fresh and relevant.
Yeah, I think so I think, as I said, there's
energy out there.
There's energy
going places.
Yeah, I mean, it's and something else will come.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's a good place to close it out.
Well, thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you for coming. It's been a great discussion. Brett Bradigan, just thinking out loud. Whew, what a conversation. I really enjoy my chats with Heather and Lisa. It's basically just the kind of informal conversations we have, except this one was recorded. I often use them as a object lesson in how people should approach Ojai when they first get here. They didn't come in with a big banner full of everything they were going to do and making sure we knew how awesome they were and what a bunch of idiots we were, which I'm sorry to say is not a very uncommon reaction with some of our newcomers. Instead, they asked questions, they showed up for events, they figured out where they could help. They came here with an open mind, open heart, asking all the right questions to see how they could help. And then Porch Gallery provided a social hub more than just a gallery space. Those Sunday mornings and formal get-togethers, you got great pianists like your keyboardist, like Dave Palmer, jamming, farmers market going on next door, people coming and going. It was a scene. It was a very sweet, down-home scene in a beautiful valley surrounded by beautiful art. There's nothing to replace it. It's missed. It's a deficit in our social life. Not just the social space, but the gallery space as well. There was a lot of interesting things going on here. You could see two worlds coming together and interesting things coming out of it. The combinations and juxtapositions that they put together were very interesting. I hope somebody out there is thinking of doing much the same thing. If they are, let me know. I'm happy to help. Anyway, that's it for this episode of Ojai Talk of the Town. We'll keep an ear out for you.